Oh boy, somebody is definitely getting fired over this. It is actually insane the amount of news we just got on My Hero Ultra Impact, and I do not think this was intentional necessarily. I think they accidentally might have put too much into the game at once or and they couldn't remove it. I don't know. We did have that extra long maintenance. Maybe they intended to put this much into the game just to save themselves from updating it later. I don't know. But if I was the person running Ultra Impact, right, I assume I would be upset right about now, because it seems like the global side of the game is the only one that, at least to my knowledge, released the information about all the upcoming banners, whereas the JP side of the game didn't. So I'm imagining they're probably a little bit upset right now. But while it's bad for them, it is amazing for us as players, because we know what banners are coming, we know what characters are coming, what memories are coming, and we can decide which ones we want to summon on, which is really cool for us, and it helps us kind of choose which characters to save for and whether we need to save or not. So in addition to knowing the banners that are coming up, we also know what login bonuses we're getting, as well as what new content we're getting in the game. So let's start with the login bonuses. We are getting a My Hero Ultra Rumble Collab celebration login bonus for the launch of the new console game. I am going to be playing this game, so if you guys would like to see videos on that, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Now, unfortunately, this does not mean we are getting collab characters from My Hero Ultra Rumble. Maybe eventually, but not yet. That would be very cool. We are just getting basically a login bonus to help celebrate the launch of Ultra Rumble. And this will be coming out here probably around the time that the Ultra Rumble banner comes out. There will be an Ultra Rumble banner, and we'll talk about that date and when that's coming out. So this will be coming out around that same time. We have another login bonus, and these are going to go in order. This will be after the Ultra Rumble login bonus, and that is the Halloween login bonus. It's nice to see that they're doing Halloween this year, because last year they kind of completely avoided it altogether. So we are going to be getting a Halloween login bonus, and these login bonuses are big deals, guys, because you do get hero gems and stamina, which are very, very valuable to the game. And then after that, following suit, we are going to get an end of year countdown login bonus. This bonus is going to be a 2-rounder, so we'll have 2 weeks where we're getting free hero gems and free stamina, which is really nice if you ask me, in my opinion. In addition to the login bonuses, we are also getting free gifts in our gift box. So we are getting 50 hero gems for maintenance here, we're getting 50 hero gems for maintenance here, and the big one, we're getting 100 hero gems to celebrate Halloween this year, which is cool, as well as a Halloween background. And I really, really like this background. I think it's going to look so sick to put our Ultra Impact characters in front of this background. I'm just happy they're doing something for Halloween this year. It may not be a Halloween themed character, but I would say this is definitely a step in the right direction. And while we may not have a Halloween themed character, we do have a new case file that I am highly led to believe is going to be Halloween themed, which is super, super exciting. So this case file is called the Maze Case, and you're going to be able to get the SR characters of Kami and Sue if you don't already have them, or you're going to be able to fully DX them if you do already have them, which is very hype. Now, I don't know the exact date for the release of this case file, because to my knowledge, on the My Hero Ultra Impact website and in the data mine post on Discord that Hydros posted, I didn't find or see a date for this case file coming out, but I assume it'll be it'll definitely be sometime in October, right? But I don't know if it's going to be more towards the end of October, around Halloween, towards the beginning, or towards the middle. But you have this to look forward to in the upcoming month, and until then, hopefully you are in a club and you have Club Festival to tide you over, because Club Festival is honestly some of the best content in game, and it's a lot of fun to play. So I'm looking forward to that coming out here in about a day now, which is going to be really, really sick. So we have 3 new characters that we know are coming out, and I'm going to go over the banners in order, and then we'll go over the memories, and then we'll go over the characters. So the first character we're getting is a new Toga along with a new UR memory and SR memory. This banner will be coming out on the 1st of October, and it will be running until the 16th of October. It is called Covert Operations Carmine Recruit. And this Toga, I've looked at her kit. She's interesting, but I definitely know there's going to be people out there who are like, oh, a new Toga, I gotta have her. Like, people have been asking for Toga for a long time, so I can definitely see people who are about to go all in on this banner. And it, you know what? props to you, but I don't know. There's some stiff competition with the other characters that are coming after her. Next, we have the My Hero Ultra Rumble character collab select recruit. This is going to be starting on the 13th and run till the 31st of October. Now, when it says character collab select recruit, I believe that's going to be a little bit misleading, okay? You are not going to necessarily be able to select which character you want. I don't believe. They never have done that in the past. So if they do that now, I would be very surprised. But what it means is we have a select amount of characters here. This is not the whole general pool. I don't believe it might be. I don't believe it's the whole general pool. I think we're missing some. So you have a select amount of characters here and you have a chance to pull all of them equally. So I mean, it's kind of nice if you're missing these characters. It's a good chance for you to get some good characters. Like Vigilante Deku is really, really good. The white-haired Shigaraki is okay. Compress is a godsend. Like, I feel like he is probably the best one on this entire banner right here for general pool units I'm looking at. Like, if you get Compress, you are winning. The new Toga is pretty good. Should be worth getting, I would say. So, I mean, there's some good stuff on this banner, but there's also some really dog water stuff on this banner as well. The new Bakugo is really good. Like, dog water stuff, like the red Deku, the yellow Deku, definitely the green Deku. They're not worth it. You will feel very shafted if you end up pulling those. The yellow and purple Todoroki aren't so good anymore, but who knows? Maybe they'll update those characters eventually, just like they did with the World Heroes Missions characters. So it's not always a giant loss when you summon a bad character, because they do have the potential to maybe become good in the future. But that is the next banner coming out after Toga, and that is on the 13th. After that, we are getting a new Izawa on the 16th of October. So you might not want to summon on this select recruit because we're getting a new character 3 days after, which is, you know, they're just hitting us with banners in these upcoming months. So be careful which banners you summon on. But this new Izawa is pretty promising, I'd say. He looks promising to me. I would personally, I don't know. We'll talk about whether I'd pass or pull on him, but I do think he is. No, actually, I would almost definitely pull on him. He's got some really interesting stuff going on based on his kit. I was going to say he's similar to the other Izawas, but then I got thinking about his passives, and he is just not similar to the other Izawas at all. But you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. After Izawa, we have the Impact Fest Heroes Hot Pick recruit for Katsuki Bakugo or Fantasy Bakugo and Fantasy Uraraka. So both of them are going to be rated up on this banner. You also have the Fantasy Meadow and the other memories that come along with the fantasy characters. This banner is going to be starting on the 21st. Honestly, this might be the one time I say like skip an Impact Fest banner. Out of all the banners that are coming up, I don't know. Unless you're new to the game and you're missing these characters, I feel like they're still even outclassed by some of the newer Celebration characters and they're just not worth it. But I don't know. You do what's best for you. That is totally up to you. After Bakugo, we are getting a Villain UR and SR character select recruit. Once again, I don't believe this means you get to select your character, which would be cool. But it does mean that we have a limited pool of characters and you can get potentially any of these characters. This will be starting on the 26th of October and run until the 9th of November. So all of these banners are like back to back to back to back, right? But we still have one more banner, and this is the banner that I am most hyped for, I think. He doesn't even have to be good, honestly. I have been waiting for a new Tokoyami in the game for so long. Like, I'm hyped for Toga too, but we already have two Togas. We only had one Tokoyami in the game, and to be honest, he was kind of ass. He was definitely ass. So I am happy that this Tokoyami actually looks good. His cooldowns are decent, and I am excited to try using him. He looks like a very interesting character. I honestly, based on his kit looking at it, I don't know if I would say he's going to be like double S tier meta for things, but I think he is going to be an interesting character, to say the least. So let's get into these different banners. We're going to go in the order that we've just gone in. This banner will be starting on November 1st, by the way. And let's take a look at all these banners here and when they go. So overall, this banner starts on the 1st of October. And then you have a My Hero Ultra Rumble collab that's going to be starting on the 13th of October. And you are going to be able to buy a special UR ticket. Once again, it does not let you choose your character, so keep that in mind. Then we have the October UR Memory Recruit ticket that you get from the event, I believe is what this one is. And then you have the Special Request Erasure, where you're going to be able to summon for the new Izawa. After that, we have the Heroes Hot Picks with Bakugo and Uraraka. And then we have a purchasable villain UR recruit ticket that goes with the villain UR and SR select recruit. Once again, doesn't mean you can select your character. And then we have Tokoyami after that. So that's kind of the order that the banners are going to be going in. Just a brief overview for you guys, and you can see all the dates on one page right there. Now, we're going to go in order, starting with the Toga banner. We're going to go over the event memory, the SR memory summonable, the UR summonable memory, and the UR character, and then we'll go over the Izawa banner, and then we'll go over the Tokoyami banner. There is just so much in this data download, guys, so I know it's a bit of a longer video. Bear with me because we're about to get into some really cool stuff when we start talking about the character kits, in my opinion. So for the event memory, it is called The Pieces Are All Here. Increases character skill impact by 30% if there are any pro heroes on the team. Increases character's critical hit rate by 25% if there are any villains on the team. Honestly, it's not a terrible memory. It'd be pretty good for VE Tower, but the sad part is no new VE Tower. The only new content we're getting, unfortunately so far, at least from what the data mine shows, is a case file. So, I mean, at least we're getting a case file. But I would love to see new VE towers, and it just seems like it's not happening right now. But yeah, so this would be a good memory for VE tower if we ever eventually get consistent VE towers. We'll have to see. But the new summonable SR memory is called With All of My Might. Increases character's critical hit resistance by 30% when equipped by a villain. Increases character's max HP by 10% after receiving 2 attacks up to 4 times. This is a memory, I'm not going to lie to you, that I don't see getting used a whole lot. I think you'll get more use out of the event memory. So if you pull this memory on the Toga banner, I don't think it's going to be worth a whole lot to you, in my opinion. The new UR memory is called Getting Even. Increases character's skill impact by 35%. Increases character's critical hit rate by 15% if there are any pro heroes on the team. Also shortens character's action skill cooldown time by 2 every 3 turns up to 3 times. This is a really good memory, but I do believe it has to be DX'd to get that full effect. So if it's not DX'd, even at level 3, right, you only get to shorten your action skill cooldown time 1 time, which sucks. That's really bad. So you have to DX it, then you get it 3 times, and it doesn't make it worth it. But just keep that in mind. So if you get this memory, you're gonna have to actually DX it to make it useful. But this memory almost seems like a prerequisite for Toga, which I really kind of hate, and I'll explain why as we get into the Toga kit. But like overall, I think it's a good memory, and I love the art. It's not like a must-have summonable UR memory, but if you happen to pull it, you aren't losing. It's a good memory to have. So the Toga, there is just a lot to go over with this character. This is arguably, I would say, the most controversial character in my opinion out of the 3. And I'll explain why as we go through it. So her plus ultra move is called Love That Tears You to Pieces. It deals 475% damage to a single opponent. Okay, so it's a single targeted attack first off. Decreases their defense by 20% for 3 turns, with a high chance 60% of causing them to bleed for 5 turns. Damage increases by 10% relative to the opponent's max HP, up to 30%. So now that there's like scaling HP with Yayorozu, Toga kind of ignores that, and she's just going to do the amount of damage that she would normally do anyways, because she scales with the amount of HP the enemy has. So she kind of ignores that HP scaling, which is interesting. That's good, right? When the opponent is bleeding, increases the skill's critical hit rate by 50%, which is really good. So you're almost guaranteed a crit on your plus ultra, which is insane, right? Gives the character bullseye and medium chance 70% of blocking the opponent's recovery for 3 turns. Blocking the opponent's recovery is insane, because that means they cannot heal at all. That might be the most game-changing ability to be added into the game. Like, I'm not kidding. That is actually just ridiculously good. But I want to point out one major thing that sticks out to me here, and it's easy to gloss over when you're paying attention to all of this that's going on, because there's a lot going on there. But her overall plus ultra damage is 475%. That is not a lot. That is not a lot at all. Like, look at Izawa. Izawa does 600%, okay? So for Toga to only do 475% on a single targeted attack, her bleed better be doing a lot of damage. This damage increase based on max HP better be a lot of damage increase. I don't know how much that's actually going to do. We'll have to see, I suppose, but it makes me nervous. It does make me nervous. The first action skill for Toga is called Knife Carnival. It deals 300% damage to all opponents. Okay, at least she has one attack all. That is good. It can put her potentially into the current meta when it comes to PvP. And I am going to be focusing mainly on like PvP when I talk about this. Maybe a little bit of Club Festival. I think Toga might come out during Club Festival. Yeah, Club Festival will still be out when she comes out, right? So she'll be useful in Club Festival too, potentially. But right now, the only real content we have in game is PvP, unfortunately. She'll be good in case files too, but yeah. So no VE towers coming out. I'm not going to worry too much about explaining why or why not. I'll also explain why they're good in VE tower, I guess. But anyways, deals 300% damage to all opponents, which is good for PvP right now. Decreases their critical hit rate by 40% for 3 turns, and low chance 25% of blocking their recovery for 3 turns, and medium chance 40% of causing them to bleed for 3 turns. This skill has bullseye, so that is an insane skill, right? The ability to decrease their crit rate, so they're not going to land crits on you. The ability to block the recovery of opponents is going to be good, and I'm assuming this is going to be a multi-hit attack. So like, you know, Compress, how Compress has a low chance to land the bind, I believe that's increased by the multiple hits. Like each multi-hit has a low chance to land a bind, which is why you see the bind land so frequently out of 3 characters, or at least from my understanding that's the way it seems to work. But I assume it's going to work similarly for Toga, where she has a pretty good chance of stopping the recovery of all opponents, which could be really big, and that's for 3 turns. So for 3 turns, a team cannot heal. That is insanely good. And then medium chance 40% of causing them to bleed for 3 turns. That's just like icing on the cake. You're going to be doing damage over time. Now bleed, I have kind of said this for a long time, I don't think it's a super powerful ability on its own. Okay, so keep that in mind. Action skill 2, Fluttering Heart, deals 375% damage to a single opponent with a medium chance 45% of blocking their recovery for 3 turns, and a high chance 65% of causing them to bleed for 3 turns. Damage increases by 5% relative to opponent's max HP up to 15,000. Increases the skill's critical hit rate by 45% when the opponent is bleeding. So that is good, because you're once again potentially getting a guaranteed crit if you've done action skill 1 first. You are getting extra damage based on their max HP, and you have a high chance of causing them to bleed, as well as a medium chance of stopping their recovery. Like, recovery I think could be really cracked. Now here's the problem, and it's a glaring problem really if you want to ever use this character in PvP, and that is cooldown time of 6 and 5. A cooldown time of 6 and 5 is really hard to work around. You can work around the 5 turn pretty easily, but the 6 turn makes it a bit harder to have a viable PvP team that has the speed you need to win, as well as the action skill cooldown time you need to win. So you're almost having to run either an action skill cooldown time memory along with an action skill cooldown time character, or 2 action skill cooldown time characters alongside Toga to potentially make her useful in PvP. So whenever the cooldowns are that high, it makes me very nervous for the character's well-being and how well they're going to fit into the game. I understand why they are that high, because this could potentially be a game-breaking mechanic, but we'll have to see. Her first auto skill is called Pure Assassin. It increases critical skill impact of all mine type allies by 25%, increases defense of all villain allies by 20%, which is really cool. So she'll work really well with Compress. We're finally getting a villain team potentially out of this, is what I'm seeing for PvP, which is cool. Gives character the ability to evade 2 times when one ally gets knocked out, up to 2 times. Like, that's okay, but like, hopefully your allies aren't getting knocked out. So I never have been a fan of stuff like that. The second auto skill, Unhesitant Violence, increases character's bleeding hit rate by hit rate for 3 turns. So this becomes a high chance, and this becomes a medium chance to bleed. So that's pretty good for the first 3 turns. Increases critical hit rate by 30% for 3 turns when used in a successfully executed skill chain. So you get increased crit rate, which is nice, and you have a technical hit, which is good, when used in a second or later successfully executed skill chain. So another technical hit increases characters plus ultra gauge by 15% 30% and decreases critical hit rate of all opponents by 25% for 3 turns, which is really, really good as well. So you decrease crit rate by 40% here, plus another 25% here. They're never going to land a crit if you're using this character. This character is actually going to be a little bit cracked, but once again, the thing that makes me the most nervous is her cooldowns. She would be really phenomenal, I think, in VE Tower, because she does have the technical hits, double technical hits on both action skills. She maybe triple technical hit actually right here, because she decreases crit rate. Yeah, potentially. Jesus. Yeah, she's insane. She's absolutely insane. She has status elements, she has plus ultra gauge raise, she has crits, she has technical hits. She's really, really, really good. Now, what does she lack? The main thing I can't help but notice that she lacks is speed. She does not have any way to increase her speed, but as looking at her stats overall, her speed is not terrible for what she is. So as long as you have other characters on the team that can give speed, I think she'll be all right. And then for the character arts, I love this Toga character art. They have put a lot of effort in with this character art for this general pool character, which is really, really nice. Okay, so that is the first banner out of the way. Now we're on to Izawa's banner, and this is the event memory coming out alongside his banner. It is called Fight Against Violence. It gives character the ability to evade 1 time every 2 turns up to 5 times. When character is evading, increases character skill impact by 30% and speed by 15%. Gives character the ability to evade 1 time every 2 turns up to 5 times. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. It's actually decent for a free-to-play memory. Like, I'm not going to kick it. I don't know where you're really ever going to use it. Maybe just for like survivability in a climax battle, but yeah, it's okay. The summonable SR memory is called All Out Elimination Mission. Increases character's power by 40% when equipped by a strength type character. Also increases action skill impact by 15% if there are any pro heroes on the team. Once again, another memory. I don't think you're ever really going to find a use for it if you pull it on the banner. So like, it's not a terrible one to have because there's no downsides, right? It increases your power and action skill impact, but it's just, you're going to use other memories over using this one in my opinion. Next, we have All Out Hot Pot Party. No, it is not even remotely the same as the original Hot Pot Party. So when equipped by a male character, increases character's max HP by 40% and gives the character the ability to make a last stand 1 time. That's pretty good. Increases character's critical hit rate by 20% if there are any strike type characters on the team. Okay, easy enough to do. And then also increases character's critical hit rate by 20% when HP is below 30%. That's the one part I really don't like. You have to have your HP below a certain amount to make use of the character. Sorry, not use of the character, but to make use of this memory. Like 20% crit is okay. 40% crit is about the standard now for UR memories. So like, while I get that it gives you a last stand and extra max HP, I don't know that this is, it's definitely not as good as the original Hot Pot Party memory. Like, that memory was the cheat code to the game for the longest time. So while this memory is okay, and the art, this is probably my favorite memory art of them all. Like, it's amazing. I don't know about the actual effect itself. It's kind of meh in my opinion. And, you know, hate me if you want, but that's my opinion of the memory. I don't think it's going to be super, super impactful to the game. Maybe it will with the last stand and the extra max HP. Maybe that's worth more than I'm rating it right now, but we'll have to see when we get it in game. Next, we have the new UR Izawa, the Apprehender Shota Izawa, sorry. His plus ultra move is called Capture and Struck Down. Cancels 4 temporary buffs of a single opponent. Deals 600% damage to them, with a high chance 70% of binding them for 2 turns. Also gives character the ability to evade 2 times. That's solid. Canceling 4 temporary buffs is good, and then binding them is good, and then getting evasion is really nice, right? So just an overall decent plus ultra. His first action skill is called Erasure Fist. It cancels 2 temporary buffs of a single opponent. Deals 350% damage to them with a medium chance of sealing their skills for 2 turns. Also gives character the ability to evade 3 times. So they might not be able to use their skills for 2 turns, which is solid, and him having evasion 3 times, that's pretty good. That means he's going to be able to, if you have the first turn, right? Let's say you have speed advantage in Ultra Arena, you're going to be able to avoid 3 potential hits from enemies. In other words, you're going to be able to nullify a whole turn of action skills with just this Izawa, assuming they're not multi-hit action skills, right? Or multi-target action skills. So that's really, really good. And a cooldown time of 5 is okay. Not necessarily the most ideal thing, but it's not terrible. The second action skill is called Erasure. It cancels 2 temporary buffs of all opponents, decreases their defense by 20% for 3 turns, and decreases their skill impact by 35% for 3 turns. So this is like a attack all without the attack part, but it's kind of nice because you're canceling 2 temporary buffs of everybody, decreasing everybody's defense, which is more insane than you'd think. It's actually pretty good. And then decreasing their skill impact so they're not going to hit you as hard. So this Izawa is going to be able to draw aggro we haven't got there yet, but he is going to be able to draw aggro and evade, and he's also going to not get hit as hard because you're decreasing the opponent's skill impact, which is interesting, and a cooldown time of 4 is good. So now let's talk about his passive skills. His passive skills are really what like make or break him, and they're kind of insane. So his first auto skill, Smooth Decision, gives character immunity to confusion. When HP is 30% or higher, gives character the ability to cover allies. Okay, and increases defense by 40%. This is a tank Izawa, right? Did you see that coming with the first parts of that kit? Probably not. It's so weird, right? But it's good. When HP is below 30%, cancels 5 temporary buffs of all opponents up to 1 time. So any buffs they've been stacking up to the point where he drops below 30% HP, just gone, essentially. And then he goes into hiding so they can't even target him anymore. That is insanely good. Now, the biggest problem I see with this Izawa so far is that multi-target attacks exist in this game. And so even if he goes to hide, right, he can still be killed fairly easily. So I don't know how good he's actually going to be. We'll have to see. His second auto skill is called Revenge. After character initiates 2 critical attacks, cancels 1 temporary buff of all opponents. Sick. Low chance 30% of canceling 1 temporary buff of all opponents after receiving 1 attack. So anytime he gets attacked, he has a chance to cancel the opponent's buffs. That's kind of insane, right? That's really good. When character is hiding, increases character's critical hit rate by 20%. And increases character's binding hit rate. That's also really good. So that means he's going to have an increased chance to bind and land a crit. That's pretty good. Also, decreases the speed of all villain opponents by 30%. Now, I assume this part right here where it says also decreases the speed of all villain opponents by 30% does not rely on him hiding. I'm going to hope that's the case. I hope that happens from the start of battle where he just decreases the speed of all opponents by 30% that are villains, because that makes him very, very good. Now, if it doesn't and it requires him to be below 30% HP, then it's not as good, and that's going to make it a little bit rougher to use him in Ultra Arena. But overall, his kit seems very interesting. I think just basically temporary buffs not existing anymore as long as this Izawa is on the field is a very interesting concept, and we'll have to see how it works out in the game. Here are his arts. His awakened art is really cool, I think, so I'll click into it there so you guys can see it. But yeah, let me know out of these 2 so far, Toga and Izawa, who are you liking most so far? And then we're about to get to my boy Tokoyami, but let's talk about the memories on his banner first. So the event memory is called Attack to Defend. When used in a 3rd successfully executed skill chain, decreases speed of all opponents by 10% for 5 turns, and decreases action skill impact by 10% for 5 turns. Not a great memory, but it does have a technical hit. Could be used potentially for VG Tower if you have no other technical hit memories. So, I mean, it's alright, but the art, once again, amazing. The new summonable SR memory is the most important thing. Increases character speed by 30% if there are any heroes on the team. When used in a successfully executed skill chain, increases characters plus ultra move skill impact by 15% up to 3 times, and increases plus ultra gauge by 10% up to 3 times. This is probably the most useful summonable SR memory so far, and this one it's actually decent to get because 30% speed is really good for an SR memory, and then increasing plus ultra gauge is always good as well. So it's a decent SR memory overall in my opinion. And last but not least, for the memories, we have the new UR memory that is coming out on the Tokoyami banner, and that is Vast Hybrid Chimera Centaur. When equipped by a Mind type or Destruction type character, increases character's power by 40% and defense by 15%. After character attacks an opponent one time, while having the ability to use 2 normal attacks, increases character's normal attack skill impact by 7%, up to 13 times. So this memory was 100%, like 110, 120% designed for the new Tokoyami, because imagine putting this memory on him that increases his skill impact by 7%, up to 13 times for normal attacks, plus what we're about to read with Tokoyami's kit. You're going to see how insane this memory actually is for Tokoyami. So this is like a really, really, really good memory to have for your Tokoyami if you're able to get it. So this is the new Shrouded Fumikage Tokoyami. His plus ultra move is called Ragnarok. It deals 700% damage to a single opponent, increases character's normal attack skill impact by 50% for 3 turns. When character has the ability to use 2 normal attacks, increases this skill's impact by 40% and shortens character's action skill cooldown time by 1. So he has cooldown times of 5, those become cooldown times of 4, which is good for him. Cooldown times of 4 is absolutely acceptable. And what I was most happy about when I originally looked at his kit is that both of these moves are attack moves. We do not have some stupid action skill that we have to use to get double attacks, which was really, really annoying, right? So I like the fact that we have 2 attack skills on this Tokoyami. It makes me very, very happy. His first action skill is called Black Hammer. Deals 300% damage to all opponents. So an attack all, that's amazing, right? Increases normal attack skill impact of all allies by 70% for 4 turns. That percentage though, right? 70%. Their normal attacks are going to hit 70% harder. And then it gives character the ability to use 2 normal attacks for 4 turns. This Tokoyami is going to, he's included. It doesn't exclude him for that skill impact increase. So he's getting 70% normal attack increase here. And he's getting 2 normal attacks. And then let me just go back to the memory here. Extra 7% skill impact, up to 13 times here as well. Added onto that, he's just going to hit so hard with normal attacks. It's actually crazy. I'm so excited for this. It's so different from every other character. I am so ready. The second action skill is called Shadow Dance. Deals 400% damage to a single opponent. When character has the ability to use 2 normal attacks, increases this skill's skill impact by another 35%. And increases character's plus ultra gauge by 30%. He has his own plus ultra gauge raise too, but it gets better. Gives character piercing shots for 2 turns. So this turn they use this skill on, as well as the plus ultra turn that comes next when used in a 3rd successfully executed skill chain, which is a technical hit. It's just so good. It's so good, right? It's really, really good. His first auto skill, Cruelty in Shadow. When character has the ability to use 2 normal attacks, makes character ecstatic, and gives them the ability to nullify status elements. So as long as he has 2 normal attacks, he just can't be affected by status elements. That's so good. That's so good. When used in a successfully executed skill chain, increases character's normal attack skill impact by another 30%. Are you guys starting to see how hard this guy's going to hit with normal attacks? For 3 turns, and reduces damage the character receives by 20% for 2 turns. Yo, he's going to be nuts. He's going to be absolutely nuts. And then last but not least, for his auto skills, Creeping Darkness. After character attacks an opponent one time while having the ability to use 2 normal attacks, increases character's power by 5%, up to 13 times. So he's getting extra power on top of all that skill impact, right? It's just insane. And speed by 7%, up to 13 times. So he's getting all that additional speed as well. Now the biggest problem I see with this Tokoyami, because I have to point out everybody's problems, right, is that if you look over here at his stat line, his speed is not that great. Okay, it is 843, and if I pull up like Toga speed, go back here, Toga speed is 944, right? So that's almost 100 less speed than Toga, and like most other characters in the game have really good speed. And the other problem with Tokoyami is, yes, he does have a speed buff here, but it's a scaling speed buff that takes time, which is kind of a little bit of a problem, right? So the biggest problem you're going to have with this Tokoyami is the fact that he is not going to have a ton of speed, and that's going to make him a little bit harder to use. But they have given him, made up for that with giving him 20% damage reduction, and then if you use this memory on him, you're getting an additional 15% defense too. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this Tokoyami works out. He could be really, really good, or just because of his lack of speed, maybe he'll suck. And I hope that's not the case, because I really like his kit and I like everything they did, but they kind of shafted him on the speed. So I hope that's not the case. And there are his arts. And as far as Plus Ultras go, I will probably be putting them up in shorts. So if you guys want to see those Plus Ultras, or go check out Hydros Impact's YouTube page. He puts up all the Plus Ultras, so you can see them there as well. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed all the news, please go down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you guys for watching. Peace.